Spotting an avoidant in the early stages of dating isn't always easy, but there are subtle signs that reveal avoidant tendencies before they pull away. And that's exactly what we're going to look at today in this video. Hi, I'm Jess. I've helped over 5,000 people find love, and I run a one-to-one coaching program that takes you from anxious to secure so you can feel confident and trust your gut. If you're ready for that transformation, sign up via the link in the description box. So let's talk about how avoidants actually show up in dating, because they're not going to walk in and say, hey, I'm terrified of intimacy. In fact, most avoidants don't even realize that's what's happening. They genuinely might have no idea. They have these deeply ingrained beliefs, and it's all very rational in their minds. And they just don't know any differently as well. I see a lot of men in their 40s who have never had a long-term relationship, and they'll say things like, I just haven't met the right person, or I'm really picky. But when you ask them about their past dating and relationship experiences, it's clear that every time things started to get emotionally close, they pulled away. And the irony is, it's often not because the connection wasn't there, but because the connection was there. And that feels very unsafe to them. How an avoidant appears at first really depends on the person, and also avoidance is on a spectrum. Some avoidants can come across as cold from the get-go. They might be logistical texters. They might message things like, what time, where are we meeting, cool. It can almost feel transactional. And they're not usually being rude or unkind. They're just detached. Other avoidants can be incredibly charming early on. They can actually have a lot of friends. But if you look closely, they'll keep these friendships at a surface level. And some avoidants are great at the honeymoon phase. There's banter, chemistry, you're having a great time together. And this, for an avoidant, is the sweet spot in many ways. They are human, they do need and want connection. And the honeymoon phase gives a level of connection to avoidance that is good, but not too much. But once the relationship starts to require emotional depth, they begin to pull away. They might get quieter, busier, suddenly more focused on work or needing space to think. And avoidants often seem very independent, and that's not confidence deep down, it's a survival mechanism. They have positive associations with being alone and relying on themselves, and negative associations with relying on others. And a quick heads up, if you're anxiously attached, this next part is for you. If you constantly overthink, spiral, and second guess yourself, I've got something that can help. It's called the Self-Trust Blueprint. It's my 3-step framework to go from anxious to secure in life and love without years of therapy or guesswork. And I'm giving it away for free for a limited time. And honestly, I'm super, super passionate about it because I've seen it change so many lives. It's the exact framework I used myself to become securely attached, and my life is so much better for it. I've helped over 5,000 people find love. My work has been featured in Forbes, Cosmopolitan, Men's Health, the New York Times, and many more. And I've spent years refining the exact tools you'll find inside this blueprint. If you're ready to go from spiraling to secure, sign up via the link in the description box to get it while it's still available. And often avoidants pride themselves on being independent, and they genuinely believe it's a strength. I see this a lot when working with them. And in some cases, to an extent, in some situations, it can be a strength. We all need a balance of independence and interdependence. But with avoidance, it can also be a shield, a way to avoid relying on others or being relied upon. Because under all that self-sufficiency is a fear of being seen in their vulnerability. A lot of very successful people have an avoidant attachment style. I would place a bet that the majority of CEOs of public companies are avoidants. They do often have traits and skills that can get them far in their professional life and that are admired. Another thing is that they rarely talk about their inner world. You might be dating an avoidant for months and still feel like you don't really know who they are. And you'll probably start to notice that they're a little bit disconnected, not just from you, but also from themselves. Avoidants are often very protective of their personal space. They tend to be quite private and they often need a lot of alone time to recharge. And this is because that's what they're used to. They often spent a lot of time alone as a child and tending to their own needs. So being alone often feels familiar and comfortable to them. Space is how they regulate their emotions. It's how they feel in control. And the same goes for physical space, it's not just emotional space. Take their home, for example. It can be a kind of controlled environment, a bubble where nothing is expected of them emotionally. So even if they invite you over, they will often try to maintain a level of distance still. They might not want you to stay too long or leave anything at their place, say. And when conflict arises, dismissive avoidants typically shut down. They're not the type to blow up. They retreat. They go quiet and pull away. Sometimes they disappear altogether. And this isn't because they're trying to punish you, but because emotions and vulnerability feel overwhelming to them. And they don't know any other way of dealing with this discomfort than pulling away. Fearful avoidants, on the other hand, might blow up and then retreat. And it's interesting because avoidants often seem calm, even keeled or low drama, more dismissive avoidants, and it's easy to confuse their emotional shutdown with emotional stability. But what you're actually seeing is suppression, not security. Even when they care, and many of them do really care, they often can't show up consistently. And that's what makes dating an avoidant so confusing. You might feel the connection, you might see the potential, but every time you try to move forwards, it can feel like you're hitting a wall. A lot of people who are dating avoidants or in a relationship with one can end up questioning whether the connection is as strong as they think. It can be quite confusing. And it's not that avoidants don't want love. It's that love for them is tangled up with fear. Fear of losing control, fear of being trapped, fear of being judged once someone really sees them, fear of being vulnerable, fear of being weak. And they create distance to avoid the pain. They tell themselves that they're protecting their freedom or that that person just wasn't right for them. But really, they're protecting themselves. And if you don't know what's happening, you'll end up taking it personally. You'll think that it's about you, when really it's their coping mechanism that was present long before you came into the picture. And if you're ready to stop taking avoidant behavior personally and finally feel secure no matter what's going on around you, my one-to-one coaching program will walk you through exactly how to do that. If you're ready to rebuild self-trust and feel confident within, sign up via the link in the description box. Thanks for watching.